Welcome to Small Biz Life, episode 64. Is your attitude hurting your business?
Does this sound familiar?
Oh my God, I have so much to do today.
Don't forget to breathe.
But I have almost 400 emails in my inbox and 30 phone calls to make.
Have you looked into getting a virtual assistant yet?
Oh, and I need to schedule all my social media posts.
Did you drink anything today?
I had coffee.
Did you eat today?
Did I mention coffee's a bean?
This is Small Biz Life.
Hey guys, welcome back to Small Biz Life for another exciting episode.
Yes, we're glad to have you. I'm Jeffrey W. Ingram, the Kitty Whisperer.
And I'm Kristen Ingram. Yeah, we've had some trouble recording this morning because one of our cats is determined to help and keeps hitting the microphone. So hopefully we'll keep that to a minimum. This is what Small Biz is all about,
That's
right?
And if you hear any strange purring, it will be the producer, Raw, this afternoon.
So I'm Kristen Ingram, and Jeffrey already introduced himself. And we are a husband and wife small biz team that's helping walk this journey with you through what we call the small biz life. Because we know that this is not a 9-to-5 job. This is a lifestyle that we've chosen for ourselves. So our goal is to help you find the things that are going to move your business forward so that you can grow your business while spending more time with your family.
Yes, and really ultimately that's what it comes down to. You know, we're not looking to start the next Google. We don't want to be multi-billionaire startup people. We want a business that can make our life comfortable, allow us to be present with our families and our work, and allow us to, do what we can to help the community.
Right, exactly. So I think a big part of being a successful business owner is having the right attitude. And I'm finding that, especially with social media, and I think Facebook is the worst for this, there is so much negativity out there. There's so many people complaining and airing their grievances on Facebook and not really like looking for help. They just want to complain.
Yeah.
And this negative attitude can really suppress your success.
You know, there's actually been some studies done, I believe, by the Facebook researchers about negative news and feeds. And in a way, I remember it was a while ago when I read this, but you might even think that this experiment might be a bit bad, but they were playing around with views, and some people were seeing exclusively bad news, and some people were seeing happier, more upbeat stories that exist on the internet as well. That's the one nice thing about the internet is you can actually find good stories out there if you want to, but you have to look for them a bit usually. And they actually found that people who had negative news dominate their feeds, almost all of their status updates were negative.
Wow. That's impressive. Well, not really.
And when I say almost all, I might be exaggerating that a bit, but there was a noticeably marked increase, like a scientifically noticeable increase of negative comments. So,
well, and they also found too that people that view negative things, it actually impacts their attitude negatively.
Well, that was kind of their conclusion, was because they see the negative news, they become negative, and that's why they give out the negative statuses, because they're feeling what they're seeing.
Right. And now I'm not saying, we don't want you to be fakely positive. We understand that there is going to be crap that happens in your life. But when you project a negative attitude, you repel people. Mm-hmm. People aren't drawn to negativity. They're drawn to positivity because most people want to be more positive. Mm-hmm. So today, we're going to talk about some steps to start changing your attitude, and we're also going to talk about a couple things to help you be more optimistic.
Yeah.
So I think the first thing that you need to look at if you are a negative person is you need to admit that you're not happy.
Yeah.
Because it's typically people who aren't happy about something in their lives that feel the need to complain.
And you have to realize too that it might not be a thing. There might be a bigger thing within it, but it's almost always a mix of things because we're human, and in our lives, there is not perfection. The world is in ways dangerous. It is not always positive. There's a lot of things to be scared about, a lot of things to be upset about, but that's not all there is to life. And in many ways, we live in good times. If you're in the U.S. or most Western countries, a great time to live, even though it's not perfect, it's still a lot better than go back 100 years ago. You would not want to live there. You would not want to be at the same financial status that you were even 50 years ago. It would be a completely different life.
So, if you've been in a funk for a while, and most people say, I'm in a funk, right? Mm-hmm. If you find that you have had negative thoughts, negative attitude for a while now, I would highly encourage that you go find some help. Mm-hmm. And there's nothing wrong with that. Mm-hmm. Both Jeff and I at various times in our lives have, seen therapists, have gone for help because we found that, yes, this was an issue that we were having.
Or, really too, it's about getting to sort of the root cause of what it is. It might not be psychological. It's like, I know for me, a lot of the struggles I've had over the past several years, some have been psychological due to family issues, not Kristen, obviously. Some have been, but mainly been due to health issues related to my knee and to my allergies. So when you think about it, if you do have chronic pain or chronic issues in your health, even if they're not extreme to where you're still functional, those are going to have effects on your attitude. And really, when it comes down to it, being optimistic and happy it's as much of a habit as anything. I mean, it's you're training yourself to look at life a certain way. You're training yourself to react to different things in your life.
No, absolutely. And pain is one that I think a lot of people ignore.
Yeah.
And they don't realize.
I can't stand those jerks.
They don't realize the effect that pain has on them. They kind of push through it. And that can be either physical pain or emotional pain.
Yeah.
But we don't realize how that pain affects the way that we react in situations. It might give you a short temper. It might make you bitter. It might make you angry. It might just cause you to not experience the joy in your life that's really there.
One of my favorite comedians ever was Groucho Marx, and he had a great wit to him. If you've ever watched any of the old Marx Brothers movies, and he was renowned for sort of a bitter wit that he would deliver upon the poor straight men who got into a conversation with him in the movies. And the thing I learned, years ago at this point was that and I believe it was someone who was talking to his brother Chico about it, and he said, they attributed it to him being in pain every day of his life.
Wow.
And that was the way he reacted to it. And that's what formed the personality that made him who he was. So he found a positive spin to it, I guess, but, or at least a way to make through, but it's important to keep in mind that, it did truly impact him, even though he was successful with it. I don't know if he just found that, humor would help alleviate the pain for him. You might not be able to alleviate the pain, but the way you utilize it, understanding it's there, understanding its effects on you, and especially in today's world, there's a lot of tools out there that can help alleviate pain without having to even go to drugs.
Right. So, I would highly recommend that if you have either emotional pain or physical pain, that you seek out treatment for that.
From the appropriate person.
Right, exactly. So find a professional that you can work with that is going to help you on that journey. Okay, because that's really the first step. Now, the second step, and this might be something that you need to do with a professional, but you need to learn to accept the things you cannot change and identify the things you can.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I see people that have a 40-minute commute every day and complain about their commute every single day. Or they complain that, oh my God, I've got to bring the trash out every day.
Mm-hmm.
And you've got to look and say, you know what? The trash has to go out.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it has to happen. If your commute is driving you that crazy, then maybe you need to look at either changing your job or accepting that, you know what? I'm okay with having a 40-minute commute. And what can I do that's, you know, maybe listen to podcasts or listen to music or listen to something that can help you enjoy that commute more.
You know, the thing I think about here too is usually when people have a longer commute, let's say 40 minutes, I've known people who've had up to 2-hour commutes daily, which I find insane, but they did it for themselves. And for the ones that I knew who complained, I didn't have much mercy because, like Kristen said, you can either change your jobs or you can move closer to your job. There's sometimes limitations to that, but that's not usually the problem. But there are reasons typically that you wanted the job that was 2 hours away or 40 minutes away. And there are positive things. Maybe the schools where you're at are very good, you know, for the price range of housing you can afford. Maybe it gives you other types of things. Maybe you live near the beach because you want to be at the beach during the summer more, so you accept a longer commute during the winter. You know, so not only, you know, are there physical things you can change in your life, but there are different ways you can look about it as well too. You can choose to think about the beach whenever you're stuck in traffic in that 40-minute commute.
You know, and I think it's really important when you're dealing with the people around you. You know, I used to get really frustrated when Jeff left clothes on the floor. And it would drive me crazy. And I would go nuts. And I'd get all angry. And one day I realized, you know what? I can't really change that.
No.
I can't, because I can't change him. So I can accept, you know, that there are going to be clothes on the floor by his side of the bed. And now with the arrangement we have, I can't see them. So it doesn't, you know.
Which is a way of adapting.
But I was sinking so much energy into being upset about things that I could not change. That it was causing me to not be able to grow my business, to do the things I wanted to do, because, you know, if you've ever been really angry or really stressed out, you know that zaps out your energy. And so instead of spending the energy being angry because your spouse doesn't put dishes in the dishwasher, your kids put dishes in the sink, or, you know, everybody's laundry isn't where you want it to be, accept it.
Even though dishes in the sink are horrible.
Because you know what? It's not that big of a deal. It's really not. If you look at the scope of things, you know, and I think being a cancer survivor helps with this a lot. When you look at the totality of things that could be happening in your life, dishes in the sink or socks on the floor is not that big of a deal. Just kind of like think about that for a second. It's really not that big of a deal.
It's like one of my favorite statements, and I'm sure it's probably frustrated more than one person, you know, and maybe made some other people feel glad, has always been, if that's the worst thing that happens to you this year, you've had a great year.
Right. Yeah. And that's actually something you say a lot.
Yes, I do.
So, you know, I think just, you know, and this kind of ties in with the next one. Stop dwelling on the past. Stop dwelling on the mistakes that you made in the past, things that didn't work in the past, people who pissed you off in the past or didn't treat you the way you wanted to be treated. And we hold on to this and we create our identities around people who may have done us wrong in the past, right? Or who said things to us that have worked into our psyche, and we're defining ourselves by these negative statements that people have made.
Yeah, no, most definitely. It's one of those things where, it's like, much like you can't make a product that you can deliver that everyone in the world loves and will give positive reviews to, and that you will sell, approximately 7.7 billion versions of it. Not everyone in the world is going to like you. And, if you continuously put yourself around people who dislike you, if you have control over that, you have to question, why do you keep doing that? And even for people who are maybe they're stuck in your life in more important ways, there are usually opportunities to minimize the direct exposure to those kind of people, because you're not going to be able to change them. And maybe they'll never be your friend. Maybe they will always say bad things about you. You can't control that. But what you can control is, what do people see when they look at you? How do people who have heard something bad from this person think when they see you? And when they see you responding and saying negative things back about that person, do you think that makes you look any better in their eyes than the person who was saying bad things about you in the first place?
Yeah, exactly. So, and this, again, might be a really good opportunity for you to work with a professional. But if you find that the voices in your head are your parents or an ex-spouse or somebody from your childhood, that's telling you that you're not worth it, or you're stupid, or you can't do anything right, you might need to work with a professional to try to get rid of those negative voices, because sometimes it's not enough to try to work on your own.
Yeah. And at a minimum, my theory is you should always start with a friend, someone who you trust, who you think has a good positive energy to them, and just talk to them and understand that you probably owe them for doing this, but as a friend, but bounce stuff off of them. Sometimes they will have moments of clarity because they don't have the emotion of the moments and of the memories that you do. People who don't have those connections can sometimes see more clearly into their life than probably even into their own lives.
Yeah. So, even if it's that you're having issues with your spouse, remember that you can't change them, and you can't force them to go to counseling with you. You can't force them to see the things that you want them to see, but you can change how you react, and maybe you changing yourself might want them to change.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't directly say, hey, you've got to change and you've got to be the person I want you to be. The only person you can work on is you.
Yeah.
Okay. I want you, if you're starting to do this work, I want you to visualize what your life would look like if you had a better attitude. How would your days be different? How much more energy would you have? What would it look like? Visualize your interactions with people. How would they change? How would your daily work change if you had a more positive attitude? Because I think that that's really important. A lot of people do, visualization boards when they're trying to accomplish something in their business. I want you to visualize what your life would look like. How would that be different?
And work should be part of that, but there are other elements to your life than work. The thing I like about visualization, is it's something that you can hold with you and look back to. It's like over the past couple of months, as we've cleaned up some of the chronic issues, or we found better solutions to the chronic issues that I do have, like for my physical health, I've seen a lot of my attitude changes, and I had a lot of the things in place already, and I didn't realize how much I was being held back. But when you start moving forward, strictly just from an energy level, you will get so much more done effectively during a day if you hit it with a positive attitude, because you don't have all those lingering things pecking at your mind no matter what you're doing.
Well, I thought it was really funny. So I told you guys I went to Experts Academy, and I went with Ronnie Harden because Jeff couldn't come with me. And I came back from that, and like my energy level, like on a scale of 1 to 10, was about a 23. And so I came back and I'm like, okay, we are going to build $1 million brand. And I think before, when you were in pain, you would have looked at me like I was crazy.
And said, yes, dear.
And said, yes, dear. Okay. And it was kind of funny because we were texting back and forth about this like a couple days later.
So I had foreshadowing of the tidal wave of energy that was about to come home.
So a couple days later, we're texting about this, and, you know, and I said it again, you know, we're going to build $1 million brand. And you responded, well, that's a good goal to start with. And I went, holy crap. Okay. Like, he's on board. Like, and just, it was funny because like the excitement that I've seen from you since you've dealt with a lot of the stuff between your allergies and your knee, like, and I didn't ask you to like come on board.
No.
Like, I wasn't like, listen, you got to come on this train because this train's moving. Like, you accelerated the train forward.
Yeah. Well, it's funny too, because a lot of people know that I've been doing NaNoWriMo this month, and part of me has been kind of aggravated at it because I enjoy writing, but I'm so focused on doing that. There's so much other stuff I want to get done, and I don't have the time, especially with the holidays, people getting married, which is definitely more than worth anything else. But it's been a way frustrating because there's other things I want to do too. And, you know, once again, it comes back to I just don't have enough time.
But, you know, I've got notes. So, you know, December 1st hits and we're going. Like, woo. Okay. So, you know, I want you to think about what your life could be like if you had a good attitude.
Yeah.
You know, like for me, you know, one of the things I would always do. So I'm from Massachusetts, and we have, you know, this name for ourselves. You know, we call ourselves massholes. And that's totally a Massachusetts thing.
Gosh, it's a dictionary thing now.
Oh, that's true. It is actually an official term now. But, you know, it's like when I used to drive around and be like, oh my God, look at that jerk. Oh my God, don't cut me off. You know, and I'd like get angry and I'd like wave my hands around. It's kind of a thing like in the family, you know, that Kristen waves her arms around and tries to yell at people through the windshield.
Mainly with her arms.
With my arms, right. And I found that like now when I get in the car, like I'm listening to a podcast, or I'm listening to like financial news, or I'm listening to like really high energy music. And I find that now I just kind of sit there and I go, oh geez. Okay. And I just go like, and, you know, and I forget about it and I move on. Whereas before, like half the day I'd be thinking about that guy that, you know, cut me off, you know, or ran the red light or, you know, whatever. And I find that I'm able to let go of those things. And now instead, you know, I'm listening to my music in the car and I'm thinking about what's the next thing we're going to do with the business, rather than focusing on like, oh my God, that jerk that, you know, cut me off. And so it really, you know, things like that. And, you know, when I think about like when I start to go negative, and it happens, right? Because I'm a asshole. So.
And you're human.
Right. And you're human, right? If somebody like cuts you off, you're going to get pissed off. It's just the length of time in which you let it affect you changes. And so, you know, when I start to kind of go in that place, like I visualize like, okay, what's the next thing I'm going to do? What's that going to look like? How am I going to respond to it? And I almost immediately forget, you know, that I was angry because that happened.
And, you know, and part of it too is it's training your mind to look at the positive in stuff, even negative stuff. You know, it's like your first thought when someone tries to cut you off is, oh my God, that jerk just tried to kill me, which maybe might be very literally true, maybe not intentionally, but maybe it was such a close call that if you would have hit him at 65 miles an hour, it would have been very bad. But, you know, the next thing that hits my mind is, thank God he didn't. You know, and you can thank God, you can thank the spaghetti monster or whoever you want to thank. or just think your skill behind the wheel or the luckiness that he missed you. Because the positive thing is that you didn't get into an accident. You're not going to be hospitalized. You're not going to maybe die. Those are really negative things that could have happened from that scenario. So if you focus on the fact that those did not happen instead of they could have happened, it's a language thing. And that's why I like to say it's habit. It's training your brain to think a certain way.
Right. And, one thing I found from my Southern friends, and this really helps me, is when something like that happens, I just kind of shake my head and go, bless their heart. And that's good. And it gets, and I kind of laugh from that, and it gets me to move on. Okay. So the last thing is to realize that optimism is a choice. You can choose to post positive things, or you can choose to post negative things. Mm-hmm. You can choose to not respond or to respond positively, right? Mm-hmm. Or to respond negatively. You get to make that choice. And sometimes, it's very hard when you're in the heat of the moment that you just want to unleash, right? And you want to say something awful.
If you need advice on that, just private message me on Facebook. I can give you some real good string of swears to throw at people if you need them.
Yeah, Jeff's really good at that.
Yeah, it's a talent.
Yeah, it is a talent. So it really is an amazing talent that he has. If once you realize that you have the power to determine how you're going to respond and whether or not you're going to have an optimistic or a pessimistic attitude, you have to believe that you can change. And no matter what has happened to you in the past, whether, we all have, great intentions on January 1st, and by February 15th, we're kind of like, so much for that. Or, that you're going to go on vacation. So you're like, hey, I'm going to go on a diet and I'm going to lose 20 pounds before we go on vacation. And you didn't do it. You can make the decision that this is something you're going to stick with. And even if you fall off, that's okay. Because nobody's perfect.
And you are going to fall off. You are human.
But the thing is, if you can start reacting more positively to one interaction every day, mm-hmm. you're becoming a better person.
Yeah.
And then, next thing you know, it's going to be a couple times a day. And then it's going to be more often than not. Mm-hmm. And then eventually you're going to realize that those negative interactions don't happen very often.
And you'll find too, because one, it's the troll, it's like they feed off of the negative reaction. And as you gain more positive attitude in life, as you're more optimistic about your path forward, you're going to start looking at criticism in two different ways. Trolls are going to become more obvious to you because you're going to look at the content of their statement. You're going to get frustrated. And then you're like, wait a second, they're just basically calling me a poopy pants. I don't care. And you can either let it go or respond with thank you for the comment, but you're going to more importantly be able to see the constructive criticism, which when you're in a negative place has a tendency to feel like a troll, even when it's not intended that way.
Right.
And don't get me wrong, some constructive criticism can come in language that's very similar to a troll's. You will feel horrific because of the way they chose to say it. But if there's something that you can learn out of it, you're more likely to find it when you can step in and have those more positive and optimistic reactions to life.
Exactly. So, all right, let's talk about some kind of quick tips, right? If this is something you decide, you know what, this is something I want to do. Let's talk about some tips that you can start implementing today.
Yeah.
In order to create a more positive attitude.
Well, let me reinforce that. Some of you are like, you know what, that's going to be a good New Year's resolution. No. You know what's wrong with New Year's resolutions? They start on January 1st and they end on January 1st. Sometimes they end on December 31st. The thing is, if you want to make change in your life, don't set a time that you're going to start doing that in the future. You've probably failed at the moment you've set that future date to start. When you want to make positive change in your life, start today.
Right. Don't wait till next Monday. Oh, I'll start next week. Don't wait till tomorrow. Start right now.
Yeah.
Okay. So 5 things that you can start today.
Today.
Not tomorrow.
Like today?
Today.
Okay.
Like while you're listening to the show, some of these you could probably do.
Yes, because you're going to think of some negative things about me right now. And I appreciate that. So take these into consideration before you comment.
So, a couple things. First, find a role model.
Mm-hmm.
If there are people out there that you know are positive people, go out and follow them. Brendan Burchard is one of my people. Gary Vee is one of my people. And I know he's kind of harsh at times, but overall, right? He's like, you can succeed. Right?
You got to look at the content of the message. And maybe Gary Vee doesn't work for everyone, but neither does Brendan, neither will anyone else.
Yeah, but Brendan for me has been
the biggest.
The biggest. Yeah. We talked about that in the gratitude episode last week, which if you haven't listened to that episode, that might be a good episode to listen to after this one. And I'm going to put a link in the show notes at smallbizlife.com. Brendan wrote a book called Life's Golden Ticket, and it's fiction. And Jeffrey's starting to dance because he's thinking about the,
Willy Wonka and the chocolate.
Willy Wonka. But you can get the book. It's free. You just have to pay shipping and handling, and it's $5. So I'll put the link in the show notes for that. It's fiction.
Yeah.
So it's actually it's a great story, but it's going to teach you lessons and it's going to make you think. Mm-hmm. Okay, and it's all about this topic.
It's a very good relaxing book.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I read it in one afternoon.
Yeah.
Okay. It's not super long. It's like 200 pages. And because it's fiction, I find, I read it faster.
And the cover of the book has a golden ticket. It has a golden ticket. Sorry.
Okay. There's going to be some sort of copyright infringement for that.
You are allowed to actually sing copyrighted music on your own.
Okay.
You can sing it or perform it.
Okay.
Luckily for you, I don't have my electric guitar with me.
Okay. All right. So, find some role models in your life that can bring a positive influence. There's lots of people on Instagram that are posting really positive, wonderful things. Like I think, one of them is like Toby Mac is always posting things that are inspirational, so find people like that and follow them. Okay.
For me, just so you know mine, it's the father from Christmas Story and the drill sergeant from Full Metal Jacket. I see them as exceptionally positive role models.
Really?
You jackwagon.
Oh, God. Okay. Don't listen to Jeffrey. Just remember, he's a fiction writer and he lies. Okay. All right. Number 2, choose the right company. Who are you surrounding yourself with?
Yeah.
Are you finding that there are a lot of negative people in your life on your Facebook feed? I'm not telling you that you should ditch your friends.
Actually, your face is looking like you're about to say just exactly that.
I'm not telling you to ditch your family. But if they are negative influences in your life, you need to stop trying so hard to make them happy. And you might need to put some distance between you and them. Okay.
Or at least between their comments. And usually those kind of people become more obvious in Facebook feeds. Because the thing you'll see them posted all the time is negative, 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 negative. Oh my goodness. If you're like me, you can be blessed and largely just ignore your Facebook feed. Other people, you struggle with that. Worst case, hide them. That way they can message you and you can communicate with them via Messenger if need be. But you don't need to see all of their posts about how rotten the world is, how everything is horrible. Reminds me of a Dennis Leary song.
So I have unfollowed hundreds of people over the last month.
Now, she has a lot of friends who really weren't friends anyway. So
yeah, I have like 3,000 friends on Facebook.
Yeah.
But I'm unfollowing a lot of people I know. Because everything they post is negative. everything is, every post is complaining about something.
Yeah.
And I can't. Like, I do not have the bandwidth for that right now.
I just ignore.
And you can do that. But, as I'm scrolling through between my business groups and stuff like that, and it's more important on my computer because on my phone, I can just go to the groups app or I can go to my pages app and I can kind of ignore the wall. But if I'm on my computer interacting, that's...
Yeah, but once again, this also goes to know what your things are that you need to do to make your life better. It's not a formula for anyone.
Right. And the other thing too is, when you're looking for role models, if they're on Facebook, you can actually, when you like their page, there's a setting to show this first. And so when you're going into Facebook, you can put all the positive stuff on top. Right. So, when I open up Facebook, 99% of the time, it's either something from Gary Vee or something from Brendan that pops up first because I have them set as show me this stuff first.
Yeah.
So that's another way that you can kind of start with the positive, right? And then I find that when you're in the right mindset, you can scroll past all the negative stuff. So I find that to be very helpful. Number 3, come up with a daily affirmation. And this is your mantra for positivity. I remember watching Grey's Anatomy, and one of the doctors, every time he went into surgery, he would say, it's a great day to save a life. And that was like his mantra before every single surgery. And it put him in a positive attitude. Like, no matter how injured this person is, this is, it's a great day to save a life.
And the episode where he got in the car accident and lost 3 legs, it hurt me.
Okay. Yeah. That's one of my things. I am like a Grey's Anatomy
fanatic.
And I you know what? No, I'm not even going to go there because that would be negative.
See? But she caught herself.
See? So, come up with something that's meaningful to you. So when you wake up in the morning, if you start to see the negativity, you say to yourself, you know what, this is going to be a good day. I am going to make this a good day. And no matter what happens around me, I have the power to make it a good day.
Or sort of my variation of that is I kind of go to my mental place where I see what my life will look like positively going forward. And that works really well for me.
Right. And that's the thing, you can't even, when you think about visualizing your life, come up with a statement about what you want your life to look like and use that to help trigger the visualization. Right. Because that's really what you're trying to do is you're trying to put yourself in a mindset where you're thinking about those positive things in your life. You're thinking about where you want your life to go if you react in the way that you want to.
Yes.
Okay, number 4, and we talked about this last week. Make a gratitude list every day. Or if you want, some people recommend having a gratitude jar, and you have like, those block notes, so not the sticky ones, but, like.
There are other kinds of notes?
Yes, there are. But having, little slips of paper where, you sit down and you write a couple things you're grateful for every day, and then you put them in that jar or you write them in a journal. And when you find that you're in a bad place, you go back to that. And you say, when you think that everything is going wrong and your life is terrible and everyone's out to get you.
Nothing's going well.
Right. You just open that up and you pull out that jar and you start pulling out notes and you say, wow, look at all these things that I have to be grateful for.
Or what would be interesting too, grab one of them out randomly in the evening and make a phone call to someone who you're grateful for that event. And it might be odder, like if it's like the grocery person who bags your groceries, but if it's someone call them and just tell them that you were thinking about the time they did this for you and you just want to let them know that you appreciated it.
Yeah. And, and those are the kinds of things that even though you can't change other people, you might get them to start becoming more self-aware. So I love, that idea, think about a couple things. This is something I actually like to do at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a good way to have the ending bookmark on your day.
Because the nice thing is, like, if this is like one of the last things you do, like have this notebook by your bed, right? And you just write the date and write a couple things you were grateful for that day. It will bring a level of peace to your mind that will allow you to sleep better. Because the last thing that you're thinking about is something positive, right? The things that you're grateful for in your life. And that tends to drown out the negativity so that your brain isn't going, well, you could have done this and well, you should have done that. You're thinking about, wow, my coffee maker worked today, right? And I was able to help some students, on their path today. And, I was able to help one of my clients, save $20,000. And I'm so grateful that I have the education to do that, right? I'm so grateful that, I am able to connect with students in a way that changes their lives. Some of these things are going to be really small. I am grateful that we have food in the refrigerator.
Because I'm starved.
Right. I am grateful that my car is paid off or that, I owe less on my car than it's worth.
Which is much better to think than, who finished my chocolate?
Right. And some days I'm just grateful for chocolate. Right. Really, they don't have to be like, well, I'm grateful that I was able to save, 45 people from a burning building today. Unless you're a fireman or a police officer or a superhero, the likelihood that that is going to be on your list is probably not very high. They don't have to be like mind blowing, I'm grateful that, I was able to do something that's going to win me a Nobel Prize. If you're always thinking that your accomplishments have to be that big to be grateful, again, we got to kind of go back to the beginning, right? And think about what your life will look like with a more positive attitude. Appreciate the little things in life. And I think that's a problem that we really have, is that unless something is like earth-shattering, mind-blowingly awesome, we don't celebrate it. And, I'm seeing, a lot of posts with people that are like, I hate the holidays. I hate the holidays. I hate the holidays because we've built up these unbelievable expectations of what Thanksgiving or Christmas is supposed to look like. And it's not always going to look like that. Sometimes we just need to find the joy in the fact that, we had a nice dinner with some family members. There was no drama. It was awesome.
Or maybe there was just less drama.
Right. Maybe there was less drama. But we put up these expectations that like, okay, we're going to have a Martha Stewart Christmas and everybody in the family is going to get along and everybody's going to want to come over.
And my evil in-law won't judge me for the quality of my dinner settings this year.
Right. And we have a lot of power to decide what we do and what we don't do. Our first Christmas together, in a 24-hour period, Jeff and I made 7 stops. And we decided that we were never going to do that again.
And I'm grateful to my father for suggesting that we make that choice as we get married and not hold off until you have children and then you have an excuse to stay home because, well, we didn't have kids, so that would have been a really long wait. But, we made the expectations clear. We said, if you want to visit us, you're more than invited to visit, but we're not going to go out. We want time with our new family together.
And you know what? That means that you might not see everybody at Christmas. Every year there are people that we don't get to see because we go to one place on Christmas Eve. And, sometimes it sucks, but you don't have to see everybody on Christmas Day.
No.
And if you're putting so much pressure on yourself that I have to see all these people on Christmas Day, go to lunch with some of these people. Stay in contact the rest of the year. We put so much pressure that, the holidays are the time that we all have to get together, and that's the only time we see them every year. If these are people that you want in your life, create opportunities to see them in July or in September. It doesn't have to be at the holidays.
Yeah.
So just kind of keep that in mind. Okay, and the last one, and this is so important to me. We talked about this, last week. Be kind to other people. When you smile at people and they smile back, and usually they will, if you smile at someone, they very rarely scowl at you.
I did get bit once doing that.
You did?
Yeah. I was thankful that they didn't have rabies.
There you go. See? Good way to spin it. There you go. But, smile at people. Say hello. Say thank you. Say please.
Use a sense of humor if you're like me.
Yeah, sense of humor gets you pretty far. But if you see somebody that's like scowling at the deli counter, smile. Say hello. Usually they'll smile back and they stop scowling. And when you can do that for somebody, that makes you happier. So if you're walking around your whole life and you're scowling at people and, you're closing yourself off.
Stop it.
Right. Stop it. Because the thing is, I think the more kind that we are to other people, I think that allows us to open ourselves up and accept good things in life and to be there when opportunity knocks on our door, right? Because if you are always kind of judgmental of people and you've closed yourself off and you put up a wall, you might not be in the right headspace when that awesome opportunity does show up for you. And so, be kind to the people around you, be thankful for the people around you, and just start to think a little bit more positively about your interactions. And I think that's really going to help.
And my suggestion always is, work on this for like a month. And there's going to be other things that you need to work on. But like overall, in your free time, think about how you're doing at this, what you could do better for that day, going into the next day. Spend a whole month just kind of reviewing and going over this, practicing it. Practicing it is the thing that makes it set in your mind like cement, and then, when you get done with that, a month later, it'll become much more natural for you. And then, the next month, choose the thing that you want to do then. And, spend a month doing stuff that you either need to learn or want to learn and just enjoy life a little bit along the way.
Right. And, this is not something where you're going to instantly go from, a negative person to an optimistic person overnight. This is something that I really worked on. I think if you would have met me 10 years ago, I was not the optimistic person I am today. I was a rather negative person. I let past experiences bother me much more than they should. I held on to anger, and it took a lot of work. And it's not something that I changed overnight, but it's something that I am hyper aware of now. And that really helps.
Yeah.
So, even if you just start with identifying like what triggers you to have negative thoughts, that's a start, right? Trying to be more kind to people is a start. Looking for some positive role models is a start. Okay. It doesn't have to all change overnight, but you need to take the first step. So we hope that you will walk this journey with us through optimism.
We believe that you will.
Yes, because we believe in you. We believe that you can change. We believe that you can be the kind of person that you want to be. And if you need to take that little snippet, okay, and you need to replay that over and over again, you do that. We believe in you. We believe that you can be the person that you want to be. So keep going out there, keep trying to better yourself, and we'll see you again next week. Take care. Thank you for listening to Small Biz Life. If you enjoyed the show, please take a few minutes to rate and review the show on iTunes or Stitcher. Please visit smallbizlife.com to view today's show notes, take this week's poll, join the Facebook community, follow us on Twitter, or submit a question for the mailbag. Support the show by checking the resources page or by going to smallbizlife.com/Amazon whenever you shop.
This was Small Biz Life.